You know that feeling? When you stop on a really clear night and just look up, and you get this sense of absolute wonder, like you're staring at something ancient and huge and just full of secrets? Well, you're not alone. That exact feeling has captivated people for, well, forever. And today we're going to dive into why that is.
So, to kick things off, let's just imagine for a second. Picture two kids, twins, named Yangdol and Dorje, living way up in the Nuba region of Ladakh. For them, a sky like this is normal. This is their backyard. There are no city lights, no pollution, so they don't just see a handful of stars. Nope, they see thousands. It's this incredible, brilliant canvas that's been their view their entire lives.
And the thing is, that experience, it's not just for them. It's for all of us. It's a totally universal human thing. I mean, for as long as we've been around, people from every single culture have looked up at that same sky. And they didn't just look up with wonder. They looked up with this deep, driving need to understand it all.
Come on, I'm sure you have. It's almost like a basic human instinct, isn't it? You look up at that big jumble of bright dots, and your brain just automatically starts trying to find a pattern, a shape, something familiar in all that chaos. And that simple little act, that's it. That's the very foundation of how we first started to map out the entire cosmos.
Because, for thousands of years, people didn't just see a bunch of random dots of light up there. No way. They looked up and they saw their greatest myths, their heroes, even their fears, all projected onto the stars. They saw stories. And, maybe just as important, they also found something incredibly practical, a map.
So these patterns we've been talking about, they were originally called constellations. Now today, the term is a bit more scientific. It actually refers to one of 88 officially defined regions that carve up the entire night sky. Think of it like countries on a world map, but for space. But really, the core idea is exactly the same. We organize the sky so we can understand it.
And believe me, that understanding was super practical. I mean, think about it. Long before we had compasses, and way, way before GPS, the stars were the ultimate guide. They were this totally reliable, predictable map that was just there, available to anyone who learned how to read it.
Yeah, so let's be really clear about this. This wasn't just about telling cool stories around a campfire. For sailors out on the open ocean, or for people in caravans crossing huge deserts, reading the stars was a life-or-death skill. It was literally the difference between getting home safely and being hopelessly, terrifyingly lost.
Okay, so you might be wondering, how did we get from all these different cultural sky maps to just one official scientific version for the whole world? Well, that's exactly what we're looking at next, mapping the night sky on a global scale.
So, back in the early 1900s, the International Astronomical Union basically sat down and made it official. They divided the entire sky, I'm talking everything you can see from anywhere on Earth, into exactly 88 distinct constellations. That's the magic number.
Okay, this is where it gets really cool. What you're looking at here is one of the most famous stories ever told in the stars. You can almost see the whole drama playing out. Right there, that's Orion the Hunter. See those three unmistakable stars that make up his belt? And then, right on his heels, you've got his trusty dog, Canis Major. And that constellation holds Sirius, which is the single brightest star in our entire night sky. Just amazing.
And here's another one you've probably spotted yourself, the Big Dipper. In India, it's known as Saptarishi. Now, what's interesting is that it's not actually a full constellation on its own. It's part of a bigger one called Ursa Major, the Great Bear. And this pattern is so important because it's our key to finding one of the most useful stars for navigation, the Pole Star, also known as Polaris. But here's something that's so important to remember. These patterns, they're our own creation. We're the ones connecting the knots. And this is a perfect example of how different people can see completely different things. So while a lot of us might see a bear or a dipper, some tribes in central India look up and see a grandmother's cot being dragged off by three thieves. And fishermen on the Konkan coast, they see a boat. The stories don't change, but the stories we tell about them, they're beautifully, wonderfully different.
All right, so we've talked history, we've talked science. Let's make this practical. How can you actually go outside tonight and start spotting these celestial signposts for yourself?
Okay, first things first, you're going to have to face the modern stargazer's #1 enemy, light pollution. You know what I'm talking about. All those lights from our cities create this glow, this haze, that just washes out all but the very brightest stars. So, if you want a really great view, you've got to get away from it all. Find a dark, open area far from that city glow.
Okay, so once you've found a good dark spot, here's a skill you can literally use tonight. It's super easy. First, find the Big Dipper. Got it? Okay. Now look at the two stars at the very end of the Dipper's cup. Imagine drawing a straight line right through them. Now just extend that line upwards for about 5 times the distance between those two stars. And boom, right there. That line will point you directly to the pole star. That's your anchor in the northern sky.
All right, so we've learned how to look out at the vast universe. Now let's kind of zoom back in. Let's shift our perspective for a minute and think about our own cosmic neighborhood, starting with the one star we know best of all.
I mean, it's a pretty basic question when you think about it, right? We all know our sun is a star. It's the same kind of thing as all those other little dots in the night sky. So why does it get to be so big and bright? Why does it dominate our sky, warm our whole planet, and completely wash out all the other stars during the day?
And the answer, believe it or not, is actually really simple. It all comes down to one thing: distance. Our sun looks so magnificent, not because it's the biggest or the brightest star in the universe, because it's definitely not, but just because it's our cosmic next-door neighbor. All those other stars, they're just ridiculously, mind-bogglingly far away. So, how close is our next-door neighbor? Well, the distance to our sun is about 150 million kilometers. That's a huge number, and it's so fundamental to how we measure space that astronomers gave it its own special name, 1 astronomical unit, or AU for short.
Okay, now I want you to hold on to that number, 1 AU. Got it? Because the next closest star to us, a little one called Proxima Centauri, is, get this, 269,000 astronomical units away. Just try to wrap your head around that. It is 269,000 times farther away from us than our own sun. And that one fact right there is why all those other powerful suns look like nothing more than tiny, distant specks of light. So, let's circle all the way back to this incredible view from the beginning. The next time you're lucky enough to see a sky like this, I want you to remember what you're really looking at. Every single one of those pinpricks of light is a sun. Each one is a blazing, massive star, maybe with its own family of planets, its own worlds, all just impossibly far away.
So we've seen how the night sky is so much more than just a pretty view. It's a map, it's a storybook, and it's a window into the mind-blowing scale of our universe. It's guided humanity for millennia. So the only real question left is, what stories, what wonders are you going to discover the next time you just take a moment to look up